DDank 44, back with Just Chilling Radio. Today I'm going to be speaking about the origins of my name. I'm going to look into the history, where it came from, what it means. Then we could look into famous people. So I'm going to look up first my first name, and then we'll go to my last name. I have a common first name, Daniel. Biblical, so there's a lot to know about the name. Not that much of a mystery, not that much digging you have to do, right? But we look into it. So I was named after Daniel in the Bible, Daniel in the lion's den. Pretty much everyone I meet always brings that up. Daniel in the lion's den. It's a pretty cool story. Now everyone just thinks of that event in Daniel's life. Here. So Daniel, Hebrew origin, is a North Semitic language with Afro-Asiatic language family. What? So my name has Hebrew. It's Hebrew. Daniel. I don't know how they pronounce it though in Hebrew. Is a masculine given name. A masculine given name. And a surname of Hebrew origin. It means God is my judge. And my last name, when we get to it, like my first and last name makes sense. It makes sense. Like they match really, they pair really well. Like they both have meaning with each other. Whereas you get a lot of names where just it's kind of funny. Like we could look into let me think of somebody. Let's look at someone famous. Let's do a quick example. Let's look at someone famous. Conan O'Brien. Name origin. Let's just look up the meaning. And let's just in Celtic origins it means little wolf or little hound. And what about O'Brien? Exalted one. Sometimes informally you put your first name on a lot of forms, you do your first name first. But little wolf, exalted one. What's exalted mean again? Like praised, like honored? Placed at a high power or powerful level. Yeah, I was close enough. In a state of extreme happiness. Little wolf, exalted one. True. He was one of my favorite talk night show hosts. I grew up watching those. Of course, not the OGs like Carson. I didn't really watch what's his name too. The other guy, Letterman. I never really watched him. It was Conan. I grew up with Lopez and the show. Yeah, the TV show was funny too, but his late night show was funny. Who else did I watch? Jimmy Kimmel was cool. Of course, the political sphere infected everything we know now. But he was cool. His show was cool. I thought it was funny. A lot of funny skits. Conan had the funniest skits though. And he was just so chill with his guests. Like he seemed like really good friends with all his guests liked him so much. Wolfhound. Little wolf or little hound. exalted little hound or little wolf. All right, let's go back to my name. But you see what I mean? Like, it's pretty interesting when the name, both your last and first name, they have meaning with each other. They actually have like meaning that makes sense with each other. We'll get into my last name. So we go back to Daniel Mills. The name evolved in over 100 different spellings in countries around the world. Name Daniel is common. Daniel is common in Russia, in Kazakhs, in Kazakh. I don't know. The names Daniel and Daniel are commonly used. Feminine versions Daniela, Danelle, Daniela, Danella, Danny, Danitza are prevalent as well as particularly well used in Ireland. The Dutch name Dan and Daniel are also variations of Daniel. A related surname, Daniels, developed as a patronymic. What is that? Or patronym is a component of a personal name based on a given name of one's father, grandfather, or earlier male ancestor. Matronymic. Oh, so it's like a surname, like it passed down. You would like Junior, right? Daniel the first, Daniel the second, Daniel the third. Shit, is that right? Other surnames derived from Daniel include McDaniel and Danielson. McDaniel is a surname referred to following people: Barry McDaniel, 1930-2018. Popularity. In the United States, the U.S. Social Security Administration reports that Daniel has peaked as the fifth most popular name for newborns in 1885, 1990, 2007, and 2008. The U.S. Census Bureau reported that in the 2000 census, Daniels was the 182nd most used surname. Jeez. While McDaniel ranked 223, Daniel without its finals. Yeah, I knew a bunch of Daniels. I was friends with a bunch of Daniels. Literally, I could name. There's one Daniel I'm thinking of. There's another Daniel I can think of. And then another Daniel I can think of. Those are three main Daniels I grew up with in my life. Pretty sure I'm missing a bunch. Another Daniel I can remember. Not really good friends with this Daniel, but I knew this Daniel. That's almost five. I'm at four. Let me think of other Daniels I've been friends with in my life, or cool with in my life, or just known in my life. That's four. Daniel. Fucking Daniel. I want to say there's at least two more. Daniel. I have an uncle named Daniel. Let me think. I want to doubt if I have a cousin named Daniel. Dad Daniel, that Daniel. I went through that Daniel. So that's six Daniels. I met him once. I met him. So that counts. I met him. I don't know him very well. My uncle Daniel, because he grew up in like another state. We didn't have money to like visit and shit too, but back to the point. So that's six Daniels. I knew a Dan. So that's seven, but that's not Daniel. It has to be Daniel. Maybe a Danny. Have I known a Danny? Nah, just yeah. I could think of seven, six. It's a lot of Daniels. Another name that's really popular, and the people I know is, let me think. Daniel's a really popular one. I know a lot of Daniels. What else? Ethan. I've known a lot of Ethans. That's another very common name. I've known a lot of Ethans. Let's look up Ethan. I knew a bunch of Isaacs too. I've been friends with a bunch of Isaacs. One Isaac, two Isaac. Let me think of other Isaacs. I'm sure another Isaac that I grew up with. Like my family's known through church and everything, a friend. So that's three Isaacs. Ethans, I can name one Ethan I've known. One Ethan I've known. I just met a new Ethan, a coworker Ethan. So that's three Ethans. I think I feel like I've known more Isaacs. Josephs or Joes. I've known a good amount of Joes. Nah, like two. I can think of one, two. I feel like that one's a common. A rare friend I've had. Nah, you can have a lot of friends. That like trying to think of other people. Um, hmm, hmm. I've known like two Aidens, and then there's some other name I'm thinking of. Luke's. I've known a lot of Luke's and Matthews. Bible names, of course, you're gonna come up with a bunch of people with Bible names. Name Ethan is Hebrew. Oh, I forgot. It means firm, strong, enduring, and lasting. Interesting. Let's go back to Daniel. Alright, there's one other website I want behind the name. Usage, Polish, very European, Bulgarian, Croatian, Estonian, Armenian, Biblical Greek, Middle Eastern too, because Hebrew. Where else? Armenian. Yeah, we already read that. Whose whole story is told in the book of Daniel in the Old Testament. He lived during the Jewish captivity in Babylon, where he served in the court of the king, rising to prominence by interpreting the king's dreams. Yep. The book also presented Daniel's four visions of the end of the world. And he was thrown into the den because of his interpretation of this one dream, where the king didn't want to believe it. Like he was in denial because it like meant something bad about him. He got shook and he was like, nah, tell me something I want to hear. And Daniel was all like, you want me to lie to you and everything? Like, I can't do that. This is the truth. This is what it means. So he threw his ass in the den of lions. What's crazy is the king praised him. He gave him he gave him high authority, I think. We can look into it. Daniel Bible. Yeah, I have a bunch of Bibles, but I'll just go on the internet. Um, okay, does it go by chapter? I think so. I just put Catholic. I'm Catholic. Come on, let me just go to one. My dudes. Read the Bible. No way, they're gonna make me buy one. Oh no. No, no, no. Daniel. Oh. The book. Virtual library. The book of Daniel. Bible Hub. Might as well. Okay, we good? Yeah. Daniel removed to Babylon. In the 3rd year of the reign of, sorry if I pronounced these wrong. Can I use the thingy majiggy on this? Did it translate for me? I didn't hear anything. I want like, does it do an audible translation? What? I thought I could do something like that. Hmm. What is this?
Jehoiakim.
Jehoiakim? Okay, this is pretty cool. It's pretty loud. One more time for me, baby.
Jehoiakim.
Jehoiakim. Alrighty. In the 3rd year of the reign of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, Nebuchadnezzar. Jeez Louise, these names. Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came to Jerusalem and besieged it. And I'm assuming that means took it. Surrounded force. Yeah, they took that shit by force. And the Lord delivered it into his hands. Jehoiakim, king of Judah. Along with some of the articles from the house of God. He carried these off to the land of Shinar, to the house of his God, where he put them in the treasury of his God. Then the king ordered Ashpenaz, Ashpenaz, the chief of his court officials, to bring in some Israelites from the royal family and nobility, young men without blemish, handsome, gifted in all wisdom, knowledge, quick to understand, and qualified to serve in the king's palace, and to teach them the language and literature of the Chaldeans. The king assigned them daily provisions of the royal food and wine. They were to be trained for 3 years, after which they were to enter the king's service. Among these young men were some from Judah: Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. The chief officials gave them new names. To Daniel he gave the name Belteshazzar. To Hananiah, Shadrach. I don't know how to pronounce these. To Mishael, Meshash. I don't know. And to Azariah, Abednego. My bad if I pronounce it wrong. I'm telling you, these are foreign names. Don't hate on me. Wait, am I even live? I swear. Richo. Okay. Now we're gonna get to Daniel's faithfulness. But Daniel made up his mind that he would not defile himself with the king's food or wine. So he asked the chief official for permission not to defile himself with the king's food or wine. Now God had granted Daniel favor and compassion. Now the reason why he didn't want to do this as well, because certain religions, even in Judaism and everything, there's like rituals to like preparing your food, how it's prepared, what not to mix your food with, certain prayers you do to the foods, offerings to certain gods. You in Christianity, in Judaism, it's like you can't try not to eat the foods dedicated to other gods, offered to other gods, not to defile. That's why he didn't want not to defile himself. Not necessarily what they were feeding him, but more of the rituals and what the prayers they do and the offerings to to other gods, right? So that's why he's asking them like, "Oh, don't let me eat." No soliciting. So he asked the chief officials for permission not to defile himself. Now God had granted Daniel favor and compassion from the chief officials. But he said to Daniel, I fear my lord the king, who has assigned your food and drink. For why should he see your face looking thinner than those of the young men your age? You would endanger my head before the king. Oh, so it's one of the chief officials. Then Daniel said to the steward, whom the chief official has appointed over Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. Please, is that Azariah Mentriel Synthos? Is that Raven's word? I don't know, I'm tripping. Please test your servants for 10 days. Let us be given our vegetables to eat and water to drink. Then compare our appearances with those of young men. A lot of people use this as a way to say that, oh, we have to be vegan. We have to be vegan. Like it's telling us to be vegan or vegetarian. That's not the case. Like I said earlier, if you knew the context of why he didn't want to defile himself with the food, aka food that's offered to other gods. And then the vegetables, I'm assuming they're just vegetables, right? Nothing fancy, like poor man's food, right? Rather than meat, sweets, wine. I'm sure other translations, like the King James or the Bible I read, they mention sweets and like rich meats and all that stuff. Whereas vegetables are just poor man, just everyone's food. And water to drink. And water is just water, right? Wine's expensive and all that stuff. That's luxury food. Then compare our appearances with those of young men, royal food to deal with our sin. So you tested them for 10 days, and at the end of 10 days, they looked healthier and better nourished than all the young men who were eating the king's food. Yeah, they're probably getting like fat, sluggish, and these boys just eating all the freaking veggies. They were probably so, and the grains too, the rice and everything, they're probably so jacked. They were hitting the regiment. I wouldn't doubt, bro. Program 5 time. Free crit mac. All right. Daniel's wisdom. To these four young men, God gave knowledge and understanding in every kind of literature and wisdom, and Daniel had insight into all kinds of visions and dreams. Personally, I have some crazy dreams too. Now, I'm not sure they're visions, but I've had some weird ass dreams. Like, I could remember my dreams very well. Some people can't. I remember them very well. To where I get annoyed because I wake up in the middle of the night sometimes because of my crazy ass dreams. Or I just wake up the next day and like some of the dreams I have are like stressful. They're just stressful. They involve real people in my life and like It just gets me thinking of all kinds of crazy shit. And at the end of the time specified by the king, the chief official presented them to Nebuchadnezzar, and the king spoke with them. And among of all the men he found none equal to Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azrael, so they entered the king's service. In a matter of wisdom and understanding about which the king consulted them, he found them 10 times better than all the magicians and enchanters in his entire kingdom. And Daniel remained there until the first year of King Cyrus. In a matter of wisdom, in every matter of wisdom and understanding about which the king consulted them, he found them 10 times better than all the magicians and enchanters in the entire kingdom. Magicians and enchanters. Now it made me think, like right now, like does he mean that Daniel and them had better magic and enchantments? I mean, magicians and enchanters, the priests, right? We're like some of the educated people, most educated people. Magicians, enchanters, priests, high priests, right? You go to the like pharaohs in Egypt, they're high priests, they're magicians, enchanters. You look into the movie of Moses, right? And how in the movie they're like enchanting, competing with Moses with their enchantment, magic versus God's power, you know? And so magicians and enchanters and religious people, priests, right? Religious figures and cultures, they're usually the most educated in writing, right? They're writing down scripture texts, religious texts. Um, Pretty much, you gotta be educated, right? You gotta learn how to read and write. They're very educated people. They go to school pretty much. They went to schools, Egypt, Greece, a lot of these places where like the whole world went to go study. And like in Egypt especially, the Library of Alexandria, Greece too, Rome, a lot of these places. And if you look at the religions, I mean, magic, witchcraft, alchemy, whatever that stuff is, we see it as like being secretive nowadays, right? But that was common. That's what many cultures practice and used as a part of everyday life. Magic and witchcraft and all kinds of stuff of that nature, enchantments, even to medicine, healing. But of course, we're taught in schools that it's all just religion. It's just mythology, cryptology. It's just fantasy. It's like, nah, this shit was real. They're like, then you go first, you get Christianity, and then Islam as well, Judaism, shifting the whole world. The world converting pretty much. Because for a long time, the world was straight up pagan. Simplest way to put it, straight pagan. Pagan religion was very common. And now it's secretive because, there's wars, religious wars now. The religious wars. There's always been religious wars, right? But the top contenders now are like Judaism, Christianity, Islam, Buddhism is still pretty popular now. It's an old religion. Buddhism is really popular still. Hinduism is an old religion too, which is still really popular. Billions of people. and I'm sure they've had their wars, religious wars as well. If I recall correctly, I want to say with the Crusades and the Islamic Crusades, as the Christian and Islam, I think they kind of went at it with India, if I recall correctly. I have to look back into it. Religion is so interesting. Religion is like, it's everything. It's life. It's part of human nature to be religious, to worship something. Nowadays, it's a lot of times it's worshiping yourself. Self idolization. Wanting to become that celebrity, that god, that idol. Wanted to be worshipped and loved by everyone. Back to this. So back to what I was trying to say now. So Daniel and the homies were able to impress the king with pure wisdom and understanding rather than magic, illusion. Because a lot of magic is illusion or distortion or manipulation of what's natural. It's manipulation of what's natural, of God's creation. But we'll get back to this. So they're just spitting facts. And he's like, you guys make much more sense than my magicians and enchanters. Dope. In the second year of his reign, what time is it? Nebuchadnezzar had dreams that troubled his spirit, and sleep escaped him. I've had those nights. I've had sleep paralysis like crazy, but I started praying. That stuff helps a lot. And that's when I start to realize, oh, there's real entities, these in different dimensions, realms, whatever you want to call it. Like, there's something to it, bro. These things exist. I mean, pagan religion has becoming much more accepted again. For a long time, Christianity was going pretty strong. But of course, America. I feel like America is like the catalyst for bringing back the pagan religion. Is that the right word? Catalyst? Bringing back the pagan religion? It's Babylon 2025. That's the United States. Because tarot cards now, like, it's not taboo anymore. That's the word, too. Best way to sum it up, it's not taboo anymore. It's becoming common like in the ancient times again. You could buy spell books online right now. You could buy crystals and all the other stuff, tarot cards. It's very common now. Or it's becoming accepted again. But I mean, since that stuff's coming back, look at how crazy things are getting. You mean throughout history? I mean, it was bubbling up like in the 60s. The whole sex magic. That was pretty much what it was. The whole sex movement. Sex liberation, whatever that was called. It was sex magic, bro. And drugs, MK Ultra. You get into all that other shit. Pretty wild, pretty wild. You know. History is very, very scary. Because history, could happen all over again, repeat itself. The second year of his reign escaped him. So the king gave orders to summon the magicians, enchanters, sorcerers, astrologers. Astrology is a religion, It comes from like worshiping the stars and everything, and the gods that came from the stars. All these planets are named after like gods and everything, or like the homes of gods and whatnot. To explain his dreams, I mean, people worship the stars. I mean, they worship the moon. You charge your, I've heard people charge their crystals in the moon, stuff like that. To explain his dreams, then they came and stood before the king. He said to them, I've had a dream, and my spirit is anxious to understand it. Then the astrologer answered the king in Aramaic, O king, may you live forever. Tell your servants the dream, and we'll give the interpretation. The king replied to the astrologer, My word is final. If you do not tell me the dream and its interpretation, you will be cut into pieces, and your horses will be reduced to rubble. Jeez. But if you tell me the dream, its interpretation, you will receive the me gifts and rewards and great honor. So tell me the dream and its interpretation. They answered a second time, Let the king tell the dream to his servants, and we'll give the interpretation. The king replied, I know for sure that you are stalling your first time, because you see my word is final. If you do not tell me, yo, so this is how he tests them? He's all like, read my mind, like, tell me what my dream was. Let me see how true your sorcery is. Can you tell me what my dream was? He wasn't even gonna tell him what it was. Yo. And I'm assuming when it comes to Daniel, so when he goes to test Daniel, right, and he doesn't tell him what. Wait, does he tell him what the dream was? Nah, he didn't tell him. No one on earth can do what the king requests. No king, however great and powerful, has ever asked anything like this of any magician, enchanter, and astrologer. But the king request is so difficult that no one can tell it to him except the gods, whose dwelling is not with mortals. Ooh. But then Daniel goes over and proves that his God is dwelling with mortals through the Spirit. Of course, this was BC, before Christ. Through the Spirit. The response made the king so furious with anger that he gave orders to destroy all the wise men of Babylon. So the decree went out that the wise men were executed, and went to look for Daniel and his friends to execute them. What? They weren't even there though. Oh, but he said everyone. Oh, but this is when Daniel comes in to save the day. When Arioch, the commander of the king's guard, had gone out to execute the wise men of Babylon, Daniel replied with discretion and tact. Why is this decree from the king so harsh? He asked. At this time, Arioch explained the situation to Daniel. So Daniel went in and asked the king to give him some time so they could give him the interpretation. Daniel returned to his house and explained the matter to his friend Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, urging them to plead for mercy from God of heaven concerning this mystery, so that Daniel and his friends would not be killed with the rest of the wise men of Babylon. During the night, the mystery was revealed to Daniel in his vision, and he blessed. So he didn't tell him the dream. That's how he was testing them. I'm not going to tell you my dream. If you guys are so powerful at what you do, if the gods are truly with you guys, like if you truly, because of course, like he's expecting these magicians and everything to be, closer to God, right? These priests and all that stuff, and sorcerers, or to the gods, it's being connected to the gods. So he's expecting that power to come into play, like, oh, you could just read my dream or have one of the gods tell you. But then his people are like, we can't tell you that. Pretty much telling you, like, oh, we're not connected to the gods. They would have to tell you yourself. And so I'm sure the king saw that and he was like, oh, you guys been playing me this whole time. thinking you all were, connected to the gods. Blessed be the name of God forever and ever. For wisdom and power belong to him. He changes the times and seasons. He removes kings and establishes them. He gives wisdom to the wise and knowledge to the discerning. He reveals the deep and hidden things. He knows what lies in darkness, and light dwells with him. To you, O God of my fathers, I give thanks and praise, because you have given me wisdom and power. And now you have made known to me what we have requested, for you have made known to us the dream of the king. So God gives him the dream. Therefore Daniel went to Arioch, whom the king had appointed to destroy the wise men of Babylon, and said to him, do not execute the wise men of Babylon. Bring before me the king, and I will give him the interpretation. Arioch hastily brought Daniel before the king, and said to him, I have found a man among the exiles from Judah who will tell the king the interpretation. The king responded to Daniel, whose name was Belteshazzar. Are you able to tell me the dream I saw, as well as its interpretation? Daniel answered the king, no wise man, enchanter, medium, or magician can explain to the king's mystery of which he inquires, but there is a God in heaven who reveals mysteries. That's cold. That's hard as hell. My bad, I didn't mean to say that. That's hard as heaven. Bro, that's hard. What a flex to just be like, yo, my God's the real God. In a subtle way, just be like, oh, but, there is a God. But there is a God in heaven who reveals mysteries. And he has made known to the king Nebuchadnezzar what will happen in the later days. Your dream and the visions that came into your mind as you lay out on your bed were these. As you lay on your bed, O king, your thoughts turn to the future, and the revealer of mysteries made known to you what will happen. And to me this mystery has been revealed, and not because I have more wisdom than any man alive, but in order that the interpretation might be made known to the king, and that you may understand the thoughts of your mind. As you, O king, were watching a great statue, appeared, a great and dazzling statue stood before you, and its form was awesome. It's pretty cool they use that word. And its form was awesome. The head of the statue was pure gold. Its chest and arms were silver. Its belly and thighs were bronze. Its legs were iron, and its feet were part iron and part clay. This makes me think of the stages of history. We go from sticks and stones to clay to rock to iron to bronze to silver to gold, right? The evolution, the progress of mankind and technology. I don't want to go too much into a different tangent or whatever, but in the book of Enoch, they explain how the fallen angels, the fallen ones, the watchers or whatever they're called, they explain how they taught man how to manipulate the earth, metals, how to create weapons, how to go to war, how to create jewelry, vanity. They pretty much introduced man to vanity and all that other stuff, war. And as you watched, a stone was cut out, but not by human hands. It struck the statue of its feet of iron and clay and crushed them. Then the iron, clay, bronze, silver, and gold were shattered and became like chaff of the threshing floor in summer. The wind carried them away, and not a trace of them could be found. But the stone that had struck the statue became a great mountain and filled the whole earth. I take this as a way of saying that the natural earth, what God has created, not what man creates, but what God has created would always outlast everything man can create. Nothing is greater than what God created. Everything that man creates decays. I mean, no, I'm wrong. But it just what I'm trying to say is what man creates will never destroy what God creates. Never really destroy and ruin what God creates. The earth is way stronger. Mother Nature, if you want to call it that too, how overpowers man and what we create. If people were to leave a city and not do anything with that city, just leave it be, the earth is going to take back what man has manipulated and destroyed and created. The earth is just going to take it back. I like that. That's a pretty cool way of seeing it. This was, of course, he interprets it, but this is how I see it when I first read it, right? This is what I think of when I first read it. This was a dream now. We will tell the kings its interpretation. You, O king, are the great king of kings, to whom the God of heavens has given sovereignty, power, strength, and glory. Wherever the sons of men or beasts of the field or birds of the air dwell, he has given them into your hand and has made you ruler over them all. You are the head of gold, but after you there will arise another kingdom inferior to yours. Next, a third kingdom, one of bronze, will rule the whole earth. Finally, there will be a fourth kingdom, as strong as iron, for iron shatters and crushes all things. And the iron that crushes all things, it will shatter and crush all others. And just as you saw the feet and the toes were made partially of fired clay and partially of iron, so will it be divided kingdom. Yet some of the strength of iron will be in it, just as you saw the iron mixed with clay. And as the toes of the feet were partially iron and partially clay, so this kingdom will be partially strong and partially brittle. As you saw the iron mixed with clay, so the peoples will mix with one another, but will not hold together any more than iron mixes with clay. Yeah. And we go to the Tower of Babel, and now the whole purpose of destroying it and making everyone speak a different language was because people were just getting carried away with just corrupting what's natural. And then you get into Mount Olympus being similar, like to the heavens, right? Building a mountain in the heavens or stuff like that, or building to the heavens. In the days of those kings, the God of heaven will set up kingdom that will never be destroyed. The mountain, which is the mountain, nor will it be left to another people. It will shatter all these kingdoms and bring them to an end, but will itself stand forever. And just as you saw a stone being cut out of the mountain without human hands, and it shattered the iron, bronze, clay, silver, and gold, so the great God has told the kings that will happen in the future. And he's talking about Jesus Christ, I believe so. It reminds me of the cornerstone rejected by man will be the most important. How did it go again? Becomes the most essential piece. The stone which was rejected. The stone the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. I don't know. I just thought of that verse. The dream is true and its interpretation. It is, because Jesus said, I will tear down this temple and raise a new one, aka his body being raised on the cross, right? AKA, it goes back to being your body's a temple. You're a creation of God, God's children, in his image. You are more valuable than any real estate. You are more valuable than any real estate, country, cathedral, church, mosque. Your body is worth more than all of that. Promotes. At this, the Nebuchadnezzar fell on his face, paid homage to Daniel, in order that an offering of incense be present to him. The king said to Daniel, your God is truly the God of gods and the Lord of kings, the revealer of mysteries, since you were able to reveal this mystery. Then the king promoted Daniel and gave him many generous gifts. He made him ruler of the entire province of Babylon and chief administrators over all the wise men of Babylon. And at Daniel's request, the king appointed Sadrach, Meshach, I don't like these names, they're so annoying to say, and Abednego to go manage the province of Babylon while Daniel remained in the king's court. Imagine my parents named him his second name, Nebuchadnezzar, or Balthazar, or whatever. What was his name? Belteshazzar. Belteshazzar. Chapter 3. Nebuchadnezzar's golden statue. Wait. King Nebuchadnezzar made a golden statue 60 cubits high and 6 cubits wide, and he set it up on the plain of Dura. That reminds me of my last name, Duran, which is kind of weird and creepy, if I say so myself. Because she's like, yo, what the? Italia, from the feminine form of Dural, Polish, tomograph name, Polish Dura, hollow, cavity, hole. Female person, see Dorothy, oh. In the province of Babylon, oh, it's a province. The king Nebuchadnezzar sent word to assemble the satraps, prefects, governors, advisors, treasurers, judges, magistrates, and all the other officials of the province to attend the dedication of the statue he had set up. See, religion is the reason for government. You know, these governments, they have religion. It is a religion that they follow. These are ancient religions. Judges, I know today, they take a pledge? Don't they pledge? Even doctors, don't they have to take a pledge? And lawyers too, I think, and officers, they have pledges they take. And I'm not too sure specifically to what they take, but I'm pretty sure it's ancient and religious in origin. Pledging to like gods of health and medicine, right? Or like law and all that stuff. Let's look it up. What's it called again? Pledge. My bad. Lawyers make various pledges, including oaths upon entering the profession and commitments to social and environmental causes, reflecting their ethical responsibilities and involving societal values. The Lawyers' Pledge on Climate Action is a commitment by lawyers to take action against climate change. What the fuck? See, I'm telling you, dude. They follow an order, a power. Let's see if there's a religion, any ancient origins to this stuff. Because there's origins to a lot of these things, guys. Like, it's nothing new. Like, they were inspired and influenced by ancient shit. Where can educate future generations of law? I mean, I already looked into the medicine, the staff with the two snakes. That's religious in origin. That goes back to healing gods and all that stuff. Climate change, concern of the work, educated future generations of lawyers. Lawyers' oaths in the United States. In the United States, every lawyer must take an oath to practice law, which typically includes pledges to uphold the Constitution and to conduct themselves with integrity and professionalism. However, many of these oaths are considered outdated and may not reflect the current ethical standards expected in legal professions. There is a growing call to update these oaths to make them more prevalent and impactful, incorporating principles of human rights and access to justice. Involving nature of lawyer's oath. The discussion around lawyers' oaths has led to proposals for reforming the language used in these pledges. An example of a lawyer's oath includes a commitment to support the Constitution and to faithfully discharge the duties of an attorney. This oath serves as a formal promise to uphold the ethical standards of the legal profession and to act with dignity and integrity. In summary, lawyers' pledges encompass commitments from traditional oaths taken upon entering the profession. Issues like climate change. These pledges. What the fuck? Since when did climate change become a law or something? It's fucking crazy. Doctor's pledge. We look up the doctors because I think theirs is more specifically religious in origin, their pledge and all that stuff. A pledge. The Hippocratic Oath. The Hippocratic Oath is a foundational ethical pledge taken by physicians, historically attributed to Hippocrates, the father of medicine. It outlines the ethical standards and responsibilities of doctors, emphasizing its importance of patient and ethical conduct in medicine. Key principles include a commitment to do no harm, confidentiality, and obligation to treat people with best ability. Different pledges, not at all. Let's look it up. The Hippocratic Oath. Hippocratic. I know it as Greek medical text. Its original form, it requires a new physical to swear by the number of healing gods. Yup, exactly. Doctors, they pledge themselves to gods. Healing gods to uphold specific ethical standards. The oath is an earliest expression of medical ethics in the Western world, established several principles of ethical. We get to the whole staff. And we look up the cop's oath because I think they take an oath to the government, certain branches or some shit like that. I don't know. This is religious. What's it called? What was it called again? I looked this up a while ago. But that's religious in origin. That's not even the right one for medicine. The one with medicine is a single snake without wings. The US mistakenly puts that one. And that one means that one has the background of a god. It's the hope. It's the patriot symbol for. They said thieves. When I looked up, it said thieves, businessmen, transactions and whatnot, agreements. Well, look it up. It says it on here. Symbol. Snake pole. What's it called? Often confused with the rod of Alcif, which is the rod of Alcephius, the rod of Alcephius, is the healing one. The caduceus features two snakes winding around a winged staff and is sometimes used to represent medicine, particularly in the U.S. That one is sketchy. The one in the U.S. is funny. Right in our faces, they're telling us, "Oh, it's not medicine. This is business. We're here for business, not to heal you." A serpent entwined rod associated with Alpha, the Greek god of healing, is widely recognized symbol of medicine. Star of life, caduceus. Let's look up caduceus. Caduceus symbol meaning. Associated with medicine, but its true origins relates to commerce, negotiation, and the Greek god Hermes. I heard somewhere that was like criminals too, which is weird as fuck. Commerce, negotiation. What's commerce mean? The activity of buying and selling, especially at a shit, dude. Social dealings with people. Sexual intercourse. Commerce? We shall conduct commerce. I'm gonna use that. See, it's a business. In America, medicine is a business. It's not health. It's not healing. It's right in our faces. Kind of fucked up. Should we continue on? We got the gist of my name. Went through all this just to understand my name. Nah, but I love this. This is nah, I like that we got into that right now. The horn flute. Oh yeah, I forgot. So he was thrown into prison because he refused to pay to worship. We'll see right now. Daniel got thrown in the pit because he refused to worship, and he's continued to pray to his own God. All the rulers of province assembled for the dedication of the statue the king Nebuchadnezzar had set up, and they stood before it. Then the herald proclaimed, "O people of every nation and language, this is what you are commanded. As soon as you hear the sound of the horn, flute, zither, lyre, harp, pipes, and all kinds of music, you must fall down and worship the golden statue that the king Nebuchadnezzar has set up. And whoever does not fall down and worship will immediately be thrown in a blazing fiery furnace." Oh yeah, they were thrown in a furnace. Bro, they went through so much. Crazy. That was his homies. Therefore, as soon as the people heard the sound of the flute horn, will fall down and worship the golden statue. At this time, some astrologers came forward and maliciously accused the Jews, saying, "The king Nebuchadnezzar, oh, may you live forever. You, O king, have issued a decree that everyone who hears the sound of the horn, flute, and all kinds of music must fall down and worship the golden statue, and that however does not fall down and worship will be thrown in the blazing furnace. But there are some Jews who have appointed to manage the province of Babylon, Sadrach, Meshach, Abednego, who have ignored you, O king, and have refused to serve your gods. Furious with rage, summoned blah blah blah. These men were brought before the king, and Nebuchadnezzar said to them. Also, Daniel wasn't thrown in, I forgot. So they're thrown in, but they start praying and singing, and they're saved. And this is when he confesses that they're dream of a great tree. The second dream fulfilled, Nebuchadnezzar restored. Now this is the dream that got him thrown in. It was a dream about the king's fall. fall from rain, and the king did not like that. Oh no, I'm tripping. Yeah, they set him up. Was found in him. Finally, they said, "We will never find any charges against this Daniel, unless we find something against him concerning the law of God." So the administrators and satraps went together to the king and said, "O Darius, may you live forever." Oh, it's a new king, so they're able to get away with it now because the old king's gone. And the king established ordinance and enforced the decree of the 30. So it was the same thing like earlier. They did a whole thing where they made it law to worship and pray at a certain time, where you shouldn't pray to the other god. And then Daniel refuses, and they caught him because they caught him praying to God when he wasn't allowed to. So they throw him in the den. He has the vision of the four beasts, ancient days. The ancient of days. His clothing was white as snow, and his hair was like pure wool, and his tongue flaming like. He kills a actual dragon, which I thought was badass. At least in the Bible I read, they included that part of the story. Now there was an idol dragon, like a statue dragon they were worshiping. Let me see if I can find it. But in the Bible I had, they actually said he also went out to go check out because they were saying that there's an actual dragon, living, breathing dragon that's being worshipped. And God and Daniel was like, I'll prove that he's not a real God. And he feeds the dragon a ball of like fat and hair. I'm assuming it was a prior breathing dragon because he said it exploded, which caused it to explode. The end times. What? Where's his dragon story? Let's look it up real quick, and then we go into my last name. Killing dragon. Kills the dragon. Now in that place there was a great dragon, which the Babylonians revered. The king said to Daniel, "You cannot deny that this is a living God, so worship him." Daniel said, "I worship the Lord my God, for he is the living God. But give me permission, O king, and I will kill the dragon without sword or club." The king said, "I give you permission." Then Daniel took pitch, fat, and hair. I don't know what pitch is. Let's look it up. I'm assuming like tar. A quality of good. That was pitch. What? It be a pitcher, pitch. Jeez, there's so many definitions for pitch. Dude, definitions are wild. People forget. People don't. I heard Eminem. He would read the dictionary. That's why he knows so many fucking words. Or he knows how to like. That's why his wordplay is so crazy because he read the dictionary. He knows many different definitions for one word. Pitch. What the hell? A sticky, resinous black or dark brown substance. Tar. It's distilling tar or petroleum. Used for waterproofing. Is that flex steel stuff made of pitch? And there's that one experiment where the droplet that takes forever has become popular in a television. It has to be pitch. Some sort of pitch. There's an experiment, and then we'll go back to my last name. We'll do my last name after this. Yeah, this one took like started in October 44, and it took like decades for the first drop to fall. Pretty wild. So he got a ball of tar, fat, and hair, and boiled them together and made cakes, which he fed to the dragon. The dragon ate them and burst open. Jeez. The gas? I'm assuming it just called his stomach acid. Could have been the stomach acid. And then that mixture just freaking bursts, creating so much gas in the stomach. Then Daniel said, "See what you have been worshipping." When the Babylonians heard about it, they were very indignant and conspired against the king, saying, "The king has become a Jew. He has destroyed Bel and killed the dragon and slaughtered the priests." Going to the king, they said, "Hand Daniel over to us, or else we'll kill you and your household." Jeez, he got the Jesus treatment. That's crazy. The king saw that they were pressing him hard, and under compulsion, he handed Daniel over to them. So this is when he's thrown into the lion's den? I thought it's because they. So they pressured him, the king. I thought it's because they set him up with the law. Which version are we reading this? New Revised Catholic. They threw Daniel into the lion's den, and he was there for 6 days. Gee, so in this whole part of the story, they're explaining how the God has power over the animals. Strange. I don't know. I'm just thinking of God and like animals, and how animals usually recognize God. In a lot of the Bible stories, a lot of stories in the Bible, like a lot of animals are kind of aware of God and His existence. Like in the major, all the sheep and everything, they were aware. Like they like that shit. I could be wrong. I'm tripping. 6 days. But this is an example. The lions didn't attack Daniel because I'm pretty sure God was telling the lions not to. 7 lions in the den. And every day they had become 2 human bodies, 2 sheep, but now they were giving nothing, so they would devour Daniel. Now the prophet Habakkuk was in Judea. He made a stew and had broken bread into a bowl and was going into the field. This is crazy too. But the angel of the Lord said to Habakkuk, "Take the food that you have been to the lion's den." He said, "Sir, I have never seen Babylon, and I know nothing about the den." Then the angel of the Lord took him by the crown of his head and carried him by the hair. Oh my gosh, with the speed of the wind. Yo, he set him down in Babylon right over the den. That's crazy. Just imagine you're just walking one day, and you look up and you just see someone like being like dragged across the sky by his head, looking like a Monsters Inc. door in the freaking factory, just flying across. On the seventh day, the king came to mourn Dan. Then he came to the den. The same thing with Nero. I mean, they didn't want to kill him near like Daniel or like Jesus. Nero and the king, this king, they were just pressured because they don't want revolts, riots. They don't want people refusing to pay their taxes, right? Their tribute. 'Cause that's what happens when people riot. You get revolts. You get what's that called? Um picket stands and stuff like that. They don't want that. That's bad for business. That's bad for society. That's bad for order and law and power that they have. The king shouted with a loud voice, "You are great, O Lord." Cool, cool. I was speaking to someone who was a Christian with no denomination, non-denomination Christian. There's churches out there like that, which I'm sketched about because I don't know. A lot of them are just about money. It's money, making money. You got pastors dressing up in Jordans, bedazzled jeweled necklace. The wife be wearing a green freaking emerald necklace. I've seen it before in person. The main pastors come on stage wearing his black and white checkered collared jacket, whatever. Wearing J's. His wife come on stage, green dress, fucking big ass jeweled necklace. And their main thing was getting you to sign up for classes, which you had to pay for. Courses. The whole thing was getting other people to join these courses. Of course, they use the religion as like, oh, you're helping them, you're bringing them closer to God. Yeah, that's cool, but like deep down, you guys really just want money. They were always selling stuff. When service was done, I remember I would walk out and they would have stuff outside, like vendors selling books. Usually the pastors, their books, pastor leaders and whatnot, group leaders, they would be selling their stuff. And there's a Bible verse where Jesus he drives out the den of thieves, the people selling and exchanging money and stuff. He's like, "Yo, made my house into a place of business and buffoonery. Get out of here. It's a place of worship. It's a place of not expecting anything when you do something for somebody. You don't expect anything back. You do it out of the kindness of your heart. People get creeped out when you do that. I've done it plenty of times. People look at you like, "Oh, what do you want? What do you want from me?" It's like nothing. I want to help, or you seem like you want something. Or sometimes it's a hot day. I remember I've given out water before when it's like super hot, and I see people like just chilling outside, hot as fuck. I remember one time I was walking, I'm carrying a bunch of bottles. I bought some from the store, and I see some. What's it called again? I've seen some. I seen some people just chilling on the grass, but they were like, one person was like looking like a pass out. I was like, "Oh shit, here's some water." Now I know what it's like. 'Cause someone's offered to help me, and I thought it was genuine help. Like I thought this person was genuinely trying to help me. I was like trying to raise money. I was like collecting bottles, cans. I remember I had some glass bottles. This is where I fucked up. I should have just been collecting plastic and cans. I had a bunch of glass bottles, and I was riding my bike. And I remember I remember the back broke, and all the bottles broke onto the sidewalk, where all the bikes ride on too. And I was on my bike and everything, so I was like, oh, I felt guilty. I was like, oh, I don't want people to pop their tires. And I was pissed off because it took me work to collect those cans and bottles. It took a lot of work. It's dirty. It's nasty too. It could be a nasty thing. Shout out to all the people who do that. You're cleaning up the streets, or you're recycling, taking recycling out the trash. That's what's up. It's could be dangerous. You could cut yourself, get infected. Like Of course, people who like don't have a lot of money or like a lot of homeless people do it, but not even homeless. I mean, I grew up doing that. Collecting me and my parents collecting bottles, bagging them up. Since I was the one who bagged it up, crushed them and then bag them up. I would get some of the loot. Shit was tight. Yo, if you're no, you can always make money. There's always a way to make money. If I ever really need to, I would go back to doing it, collecting cans and bottles. It's free money. Free money. You can easily collect a bag or two. Like a black bag, trash bag, like your typical black one. Two of them filled to the brim could get you like $10 easily, 15, $10. That's a meal. That's a meal for the day. You could probably do that every day. Certain parks for sure, they get filled up so quick. But back to my point. So I dropped all these cans and I broke them. And I remember this person coming over to help me. And he was helping me. He was asking me like why I'm doing it all. I was like, "Oh, I'm raising money. I'm trying to go on this pilgrimage, this trip." It was a religious one. And I was stressing because I was like, "Oh, I'm not gonna have the money to go." I wasn't working too. I was broke, out of a job, and I was just like, "Fuck." So he helped me and everything. And then he asked me. He got weird. He got really weird because it broke my heart because I thought he was just being genuinely nice. He's like, "You party? You smoke? You party?" And I was like, "No." He wants to fuck. He wants. He wants to hook up. I was like, "No, dude, no." And I was like, "No, I don't." He kept trying to get me to like come in his car. He was like, "Oh, you want to come in my car? You want to put your bike in the back? I'll give you a ride." And I was at that point, I was like, "Dude, no. I already know what you're about." And that shit just made me sad. I was like, "Bro, thought it was genuine help." So I could see why people act like that when you try helping them. I totally understand why people can feel uncomfortable or sussed out or just sketched out. Cause I've dealt with it. That shit sucks. And it's just like, wow, people only like to be nice, just for personal gain, for whatever. Never trust smiling faces. In the Bible, Jesus, he taught a lot. Like he said, if you ever help people, don't expect anything. Do not ask for anything. Just do it out of the kindness of your heart. Do not get tempted with your temptations, right? Do not get tempted with material things, with or just holding it over somebody's head. People like doing stuff like that. They like to help you or they're so eager to help you. So they have something that dangle over your head. Kind of what's it called? Guilt you into being like, "Oh, but I helped you do this and that. You're not going to help me? You're not going to do me this favor?" And that's why I don't like receiving help from people cuz I'm like, "Nah, like cuz for one, I don't have much. So when you help me, I'm like I can't really return the favors. Like I could only do it depends. It depends. But when it comes to like financial or like money or anything, nah, I do not like doing asking people for money. Nah, I can't. Or like something like if it's like manual labor or work, I could give back that favor. Like if you help me do something, like build something or move something, and you ask to return the favor, I'll do it. Yeah, sure. All right. Shit. We're going to my last name. All that for my first name. We won't. I might watch some. I might listen to some music. Duran Duran. Might as well. It's the theme of today. Names. So we get into my last name. So my first name, it's religious, biblical. What it means, the meaning, God is my judge. Now my last name is Duran. Spanish and Catalan. What is that? Catalan. I know it's like German. It could be German and like Dutch, I think, as well. Catalan. Catalan. Romance language. Rome? It's a Western Romance language. Oh, I thought it said Rome. And is the official language of Andorra. What the shit? I never heard of this country. Is a sovereign landlocked nation of the Iberian Peninsula. It is bordered by France to the north and Spain to the south. Believed to have created by Charlemagne, Andorra was ruled. What? I never heard of Andorra. Let's go with country. Country? Territories of Catalan language. Oh, it's Spain. I'm tripping. Balearic Islands and Valencian community in Spain. Parts of Aragon and Murcia. Principality of Andorra. City of Allegro in Sardinia. Italy. Italia. Italia. The surname Darien has Spanish and Catalan. So Spanish and Catalan origins. Derived from the Latin word durandus, meaning enduring or steady. Now, this is what I was saying about earlier, that it's pretty cool when you have a name that both first and last name have a meaning together that makes sense. So my name would be God is my judge. Endure, stay steady. Endure, enduring, endure. I'm gonna look up the word endure. Endure, everyone. Let's learn together. Learn together. Let's learn together. Definitions together. History together. In the Just Chilling radio show. I don't know what the fuck that was. But I'm on my Mr. Rogers shit. Hope I'm calm and soothing. Hope I'm chill enough. I'm on Mr. Rogers shit. Let's learn, guys. Let's learn together. To endure means to suffer. Something painful or difficult. To suffer patiently. Remain in existence last. Now I'm thinking right now, my name is who I am. God is my judge. Endure. Endure. Suffer patiently. I'm a person who's suffered patiently. I know what it's like to sit in a hospital bed for days, weeks, months on end. I know what it's like to not cry, to not talk, just sit there numb to the pain because you've been through it. It's been constant for weeks, 24/7. I know what it's like to wait for death patiently. And now I've had my moment where I snapped, but that was like months into the experience. You know, everyone has a breaking point. I was a kid too, so God is my judge, endure. Suffer patiently. God is my judge, suffer patiently. Shh. Patience is something I've been having a tough time accepting as of recent. I want it fast. Um, what I want fast? What do I want fast? I want peace physically. I want physical peace because I suffer with medical condition or conditions. I'm always having something with my health, right? I'm on medication for the rest of my life for said conditions. I suffer. I still suffer physically. You know, I struggle. And I do my best to just stay patient and calm. I have my, I have, I've struggled. I struggle still. I have my ups and downs, like a roller coaster. Suffer patiently. I'm just thankful. What I can be thankful for is that I haven't done nothing irrational. I haven't snapped. I haven't gone crazy, insane. I've done nothing irrational. I'm thankful for that. Yeah, I've had my share of experiments with drugs, alcohol, my depression. Yeah, I know, like, but I'm just thankful I've never gotten truly physical. I still have never been in a real fight in my life, except fighting for my life. That's fighting myself. It's the only fight I've ever been in. Just fighting myself a lot. That shit sucks. But I don't rob people. I don't like curse people out. I don't go crazy on people on the street or like just, yeah, I have a family. I have a home where I feel comfortable enough to, let it out. Anger, sadness. But as far as society, I've never been arrested, never gotten a ticket. I'm thankful I haven't been too impatient. Hell, I'm still a virgin. Be it I'm addicted to pornography and everything. But I've learned to be patient and to not be eager for. Nah, I'm wrong. Or I don't know. Call me an incel. I don't care about shit. I got enough stress in my life with health and everything. I don't need to worry about herpes or fucking sex diseases. Like a lot of people do are getting fucking rashes and shit. Hell no. I already get those with my fucking medications and all that stuff. Inflammation and all that shit. I don't need any more from going out of my way and inviting that stuff in my life. I'm chilling. Nah, this touches deep. This touches deep. This is some real shit. This is a little drop of my life. A little drop of my life. It's kind of scary. I don't know about for you guys who tune in or for anyone who listens to this, but if you look at your name and the meaning of it, and if it reflects your actual life, your personality, what you go through, words have power to it. What you call other people just makes me think too. Calling other people out of their name, cursing other people, calling them words, right? Making fun of them. That's powerful. Words are powerful. You can cause people to self harm because of what you called them. Or you can cause people to harm you because of what you said to them and what you called them. Words are powerful. Calling somebody out of their name. A lot of people get offended when you call them out of their name or, make fun of their name. I keep it real right now. One thing people get made fun of, for men at least, for guys, is when they have like feminine voices. I've known a lot of I've met people. I thought they were gay just on how they talked, right? Very feminine voice. And then they end up saying they have a wife. And I'm like, yo, okay. People are just born speaking a certain way, or, walking or acting a certain way. Doesn't mean they're that, right? And I notice when people get made fun of, or when you call them a certain word, they may end up starting to believe that. You call somebody a piece of shit, a loser. They're just minding their own business, but you call them a loser like every day. Eventually, the person's just gonna be like, I guess I am. Because you keep calling me it, they keep calling me it. I must be it. I must be it. Words are very powerful. Very powerful. That's why I like to choose to remain quiet and really keep to myself. Because I worry I'm going to say something mean or say something rude or say something, which I do, or just say something that's too blunt and someone just takes it the other way. Where on my end, I might just say it out of curiosity, out of genuine like curiosity. Some people take it as like, oh, whoa. I don't know. I'm a blunt person. So sometimes when I say something or when I speak, it may sound stern, it may sound harsh or like angry or something. All right, let's go back. So it means endure, to suffer patiently, which is something I've had experience with, suffering patiently. I could do it. It's exhausting. It's draining to suffer patiently. It's very draining. Stoically, they call it stoicism too, right? It's draining to not let it get to you, like draining. Internally, internally you may be boiling up inside, right? Internally you may feel it, but the ability to not let it be external, whatever you're feeling, anger, frustration, sadness, it's a real toll on your body. It's unhealthy. It's unhealthy to do that. Sometimes it is good to let it out because keeping it in is really unhealthy. Pretty sure that's why I got sick, because I was extremely quiet. But in my head, I'm angry, I'm sad. I'm still human. It's just when you hold it in, You could get headaches, stomach aches, your chest hurts, shit like that. That's how I would feel when I would get super upset and angry, just stomach aches. The distinguished surname Duran comes from Spain, a country rich in culture and history. The earliest forms of hereditary surnames in Spain were patronymic surnames, which are derived from fathers' given names, and metronymic surnames. Okay, so juniors are the thirds and seconds, which are derived from the mother's given name. Early origins of Duran family. The surname Duran was first found in Galicia, where the Celts and the Swabians, a Germanic tribe, had settled. Northwestern region of Iberian Peninsula. Spain, a unique culture. I think I heard some German people talking before, and they would say words like yo, como yo, or like, it sounded like Spanish. And I think Russian too. Some words in Russian sound Spanish. I'm like, yo, it sounds like they're speaking Spanish a little bit. Like some words. The Celts. 500 when they lived in Eastern France. What the dog is barking. I gotta take him out. He probably wants to piss. The webpage shows an only small excerpt of Duran research. Another 81 words. Duran. More information includes extended history. Oh, you ought to be joking. They're selling that to me. Let me see if I can find another one. Let's click on this one. I'll probably end it soon. The surname Duran originates from the Latin name Durandus, meaning enduring, steadfast, resilience, and longevity. The roots lie in the Iberian Peninsula, mainly in Spain and Portugal, with historical significance in regions like Catalina and the Castle. The surname's evaluation included Durant. So like Kevin Durant. Does Kevin Durant have like French ancestry? And Spanish Duran, reflecting a deep seal. This is kind of fucked up saying this. I don't know if it is, but I'm thinking of history. I mean, if the French had African slaves, right? I mean, they went to Africa and they did some horrible shit to Africa. I'm sure they took some slaves and everything. But the Americas, the Spanish came with like Asian African slaves. But that was the Spanish. And we get Italians too, like Christopher Columbus coming over. Do that, but that's North America. The South Americas was like Spanish. Nah, they went to Americas because California too. Um, so I wonder if Spanish Duran, reflecting a deep-sealed cultural legacy. Over time, notable individuals bearing the Duran name, have significant contributions to political arts and academia. I want to look at my history, my ancestry. Because where my parents are from, there was slavery for like silver mines. Mexico had a lot of silver mines and everything. Slavery used for silver mines. African Asian slaves. I think Japanese, more specifically, the kind of slaves they had. And then in Mexico, you get places like where my mom's from, Guerrero. Sorry if I pronounce it wrong. And the states around it, surrounding it, the other Mexican states surrounding it, they have huge Afro Mexican communities. They're like hundreds of years old from like slave times and everything, like slavery, pretty much. The surname Duran origin. Where my dad from's too. There's the silver mines. I'm telling you. I mean, we look at America too. The railroads. They weren't. Nah. It was technically slave labor and everything. Bunch of foreigners, horrible conditions. I mean, the slaves did help build stuff. They also used the Native Americans. They forced them to help build like early America colonies. And they enslaved the natives. Pretty sad. The surname Duran originates from the Latin name Durandus, meaning during or steadfast, French Durant. The name evolved through Old French Durant and Spanish Duran. It is prevalent in Spain, particularly in Catalonia and Castile, and also in France. The name symbolizes resilience and has historical significance in politics, arts, and academia. Notable figures like Bernard Duran and Maria Duran highlight the name's influential legacy. I don't know who those are. The etymology of surname Duran traces to its origins to land. I've met people who I'm not related to with the last name Duran. Durandis, which means enduring or steadfast. This nomenclature is like employed to denote individuals characterized by resilience and steadfast. The enduring meaning last or to endure underpins this affiliation. Okay, I'm gonna end it here. Interesting stuff. History is very interesting. Historical significance. Its prominent role in various cultural and societal contexts throughout history. The name has been associated with influential figures spanning from medieval times to modern eras, reflecting its deep-seated historic roots and enduring legacy. Importantly, individuals bearing the Duran surname have made substantial contributions in fields of such as politics, arts, and academia. Periods and associated figures. Sort of like Daniel in the Bible. Academia, wisdom, politics, getting to like government. Because Daniel was appointed. He was appointed, you know? Oh, I'm thinking of Duran though. This is Duran. But still, that's weird. Weird coincidence. Bernardo Duran. Political leader. I'm interested now. History. 1893, 1957 was born. He is documenting a family history. What? Oak? Or imagine I'm related to this guy, but he's not from where my parents are from. Oh, this is from New Mexico. Medieval times. Why is it not coming up? Can't believe I spelled that wrong. Hopefully it spelled. What? Political leader. Renaissance. Diego Duran. Historical chronicles. What? There's Duran Duran, the band, which I'm going to listen to right now. Invisible. I had a teacher in PE always calling me Duran Duran. Or weight training. He'd be like, Duran Duran? Taking roll call. And he was like, You don't know who they are? I was like, no. He was like, you never heard the song Running Like a Wolf? Hungry Like a Wolf, I mean? And I was like, oh, that was them? I was like, no way. Was Dominican friar best known for his culture of the Aztecs. Oh, that's badass. The history of the indigenous heathen maintain their culture. Helping the heathen, jeez, maintain their culture. Also known as the Duran Codex. That's badass. The history of the Indies. I'm gonna cop that book. That sounds so. The Book of Gods and Rights. 15th for him, the ancient calendar. He was fluent in the language of Aztec and therefore able to consult natives in Aztec. Seville, Spain. He traveled to Mexico when he was about 7 years old. There. In Texcoco. Codices. That's badass. Within the life of the church. Oh, I can see why they didn't like him because he was part of the church and he's going back to those ways. The bird. Pretty cool, pretty cool. Pretty cool. Diego Duran. Could be related to him, imagine. I could be related to him. I asked my dad, I was like, do you know how far back our history goes? Like your great grandfather and everything? He was like, no, not really. Said he knew his great grandma, I think. He didn't know too much, though, about any further back. 19th century Wandran, artistic innovations, scientific advancement, social activism. That's my mom's name. Spain and Portugal. Okay. Just gonna end it here later, y'all.